What's going on, music fans? Welcome to the Vault Podcast, where music still matters. You can send us anything you want to send us, requests, comments, hate mail, anything. TheVaultMusic1@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at TheVaultMusic1, Facebook.com/TheVaultRVWS, and Podomatic, YouTube. I'm sure you're listening to this on one of those two stations. Right now, we got a return guest with us today, the drummer from Enfold Darkness and Invictum production, Greg Vance. How's it going today?
Good, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. And Greg, I'm just going to turn the show over to you, listeners. This show is going to be all about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts, and that's promotion. Whether you've got a company, a band, a promotion company, a business, product, anything, this is going to pertain to any of you guys. So, Greg, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and I'll ask questions as we go.
All right, cool. Well, basically, playing in a band from a very young age, I found myself finding it difficult to find places to play. It seemed like most of the bars and clubs in town were already very much so occupied by other bands that were older than me and had more experience and stuff like that. So I found it very hard to basically be able to set up shows, bring my favorite bands to town. So after a while of just getting on any shows that I possibly could, never making any money, never playing in front of the right people, basically me and some of my friends took upon ourselves to start bringing bands to town that we liked, that weren't necessarily popular with the bar crowds and stuff like that. And basically what ended up happening was I started my own metal booking company called Vance Productions. And my friends Tyler and Vimo and Nick and these other kids in Springfield, Missouri, started a booking company called Balls Deep, and they were more focusing on hardcore punk rock, stuff like that. So literally on the same day, we all kind of rolled our production companies out together and decided that we were going to start making a difference in town and making it an opportunity for people our age to come see the bands that we wanted to hear. So basically the way we started out by doing it was functioning as a team, although we were two separate companies. We supported each other's shows and stuff like that. So I bet some of these people listening are probably in the same situation I was in and perhaps interested in starting their own booking company. And it's actually a lot easier than you would think. Basically, you just have to be ready to take on a lot of responsibility. So pretty much I kind of broke it down into little points, starting with how to do it and then a little bit of advice on the way. So basically, if you live in a town, there's no promoters around bringing bands to your town that you really want to see, you need to go to the bands that you want to see website or social media website. Facebook's really good to be able to find their booking agent, management, stuff like that. Essentially, set up an email for your booking company, name it, make a Facebook, make a Twitter, make an Instagram, utilize as much free social media as you can, because I mean, you're not going to be making a lot of money doing this stuff, especially at first. And depending on what type of music you're booking, you may never make money. If you're doing black metal, death metal, stuff like that, then chances are you're not going to make very much money. But if you're doing more of a mainstream type, you could probably eventually get to the point where you're making some good money. Basically, what you want to do: get a legit logo, get a name, get something catchy. Make it where people can remember it. It's not so much to appeal to a broader audience. It's basically to, when people hear about your company, they want it to be able to stick in their brain. They remember it later. They might meet you and be like, "Hey, I got this production company called Blank," and that might be exactly what they think later. Blank, I don't remember. But if you have something easy to remember, like ours is Invictum Promotions, the other one.
Pretty simple to remember.
Yeah, just boom. There, that's what it is. And my old company that I ran for about 10 years by myself was called Vance Productions. My last name. If you remember my last name, just had productions, promotions, anything like that, then you could look it up and find it. So name, social media, get that going. Hey,
I'll jump in real quick about social media. Would you say that's possibly one of the most important aspects as far as advertising goes?
Definitely, because as a person in a band who we still in Enfold Darkness do a lot of our own booking. We work with other people too and stuff, but we still as a band come together and say, "Oh, we're getting offered a show here. Does it seem legit? Does it seem like a place that we're going to show up and there's not going to be a promoter there?" Or maybe we show up, dude hasn't promoted anything. He's saying he's not going to be able to give us our guarantee. Those are the things you want to avoid. So first of all, you want to make sure that you are giving off the impression that you're not a sketchy promotion company, because there's a lot of sketchy promotion companies out there. So definitely, that's very important. And having a presence and being able to scroll through your social media and see that you are putting in the effort, you are putting up flyers physically in town, will make people want to book with you, because there is a lot of competition out there. But what it comes down to is whenever a band comes, they play in your town because you booked them. Word of mouth travels faster than anything. You'd be surprised how tight knit the metal community is. And if we play a really crappy show, we're gonna let our friends know, hey, don't book with this guy, because first of all, you're gonna show up. He hasn't promoted it. He didn't put any physical flyers up. And didn't give us our guarantee, so we can't eat today, and we don't have enough gas to get to the next show. So that's very important.
Let me ask you one more thing before we move on about social media. The stuff with the vault that we have, I'm sharing it all the time on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Anytime we got something new coming out, I'm sharing it nonstop. And I know a lot of times some of the software that they're using or something, I don't know what's going on with it, but a lot of times people are not seeing the stuff you're posting. So how do you feel about essentially spamming your own, Facebook wall or your Twitter feed with your upcoming shows or your upcoming albums or anything like that? What's your opinion on that?
Okay, well, I'll let you know. Out of anyone, I know this is very true to me. There's a difference between proper promotion and spamming. I didn't used to know the difference. I bet a lot of my friends back in Missouri can tell you. I used to spam the crap out of them. And I used to be really annoying on these things because, like I said, I took these things seriously. I was younger. I was inexperienced. And, and I will say that Facebook has made it very hard to make people see your posts. One thing I will say is that there is an option as of now. I don't know what date you're listening to this, but if you're listening to it close to the day that this was posted, there is a feature on Facebook that your fans can click on that says, see this first. So if they're subscribe to the vault, they've liked your page already, which to me should be enough. It used to be enough. People used to see your posts, but now they want you to boost all the posts. But people can click the option to see your posts first on their feed. So that is one thing that Facebook has done. But as far as spamming, my advice on that is to not go too overboard, but make it to where you can utilize hashtags on Twitter and Instagram, and even Facebook has hashtags and stuff like that. But also another way to get people to see your posts is to tag people in the post. Like I think sometimes it only allows you to tag like 20 people at a time, but in the comments, people I know I want to see at that show, I will be like, tag, Elijah, tag Matt, tag, right. etc. And then sometimes I'll even send a core group of those people like, hey, will you share this? It's a networking. It's like I said, it's like a tight-knit community, especially in the metal community. I know it's like that in the hardcore and the punk community, stuff like that. But it's holding each other accountable and also making sure that everyone's doing their part, because you cannot run a production company by yourself. Even if you're doing it by yourself, you can't do it by yourself, because you might be doing all of the emailing and all the booking and stuff, but when it comes down to it, you need help. You need your friends to be there for you. You need your friends to take this seriously and to help you share your posts and be at your shows, get the hype going. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. I mean, no matter what genre you're talking about, there has to be a certain level of hype to it. You know what I mean? Like, people have to hear about it. Doing it yourself, I've done it 10 years, sucks total balls, because first and foremost, if you flop on a show, that is all you. You are going to your ATM and you're withdrawing all that money. My best advice is to get with a core group of friends and kind of do what we do with Invictum. Is there's several of us and we're all accountable. So if a show flops, the end of the night, we're lining up at the ATM. We're making sure the bands get their money. But that's the most important thing about running a promotions company. Booking shows, putting on concerts, stuff like that, is every single show you need to pay what you guaranteed, not a cent less, every time. So basically, I'll kind of backtrack a little bit and let you know how to get these things rolling. So first, get your stuff going, get your social media going, get your email set up separate from your personal. Because it gets confusing. Like, you're going to be getting a lot of emails, you're going to be getting offers, and you're going to have to counter those offers and stuff like that. So separate email. All of the people who are involved should have access to that email, have access to their social media accounts. Basically, from there, you're going to find the bands you want to book. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not necessarily going to be able to get your favorite bands at first. You're going to get like some bands that the guy books for, like little test shows, because they're not just going to give you a huge show. They're not just going to, like, you have to work for it. So you're going to start off, you're going to hit up, like, you know, you go to Enfold Darkness's Facebook or website or whatever, you're going to see the booking contact somewhere on there. If they don't have a booking contact, they have a management contact. You can email them, say, hey, who deals with booking for Enfold Darkness? Email back. Actually, Elijah Whitehead, guitarist of Enfold Darkness, email this email right here. So we do everything from enfolddarkness@gmail.com. So you'll find that. You'll send an email and say, hey, I'm interested in booking this band. 9 times out of 10, band's not coming anywhere near you, but they'll save you. They'll say, okay, well, if we need a show in this area, we'll save it. But if you're working with a booking company, so let's say you go to a band that's on a pretty large booking company, Kenmore Agency, anything like that. If you see an agency, that's a good opportunity for you to get in with someone who books for multiple bands, and you'll have a chance to actually get some people to your town a lot sooner than if you're just trying to hit up a particular band. So send them an email, say, hey, me and my friends got this production company going. We're looking to do some shows. Send me some offers. And then you're going to have to send a deposit on a guarantee. So, like, let's say you're going to book a band that's $500. 9 times out of 10, they're going to want you to send them $250 as soon as you sign that contract, which will typically be emailed to you, and you'll sign it. All you guys will sign it, send it back to them in the mail, send the deposit through PayPal 9 times out of 10. And at that point, you have a show that's booked. This is where the train gets moving. So once you have a show that's booked, like I said, you're going to have to start off with these smaller shows. Sometimes it's going to be bands you've never heard of. But, you know, I've noticed sometimes I've only had to do 1 or 2 smaller shows before that band gets back and they're like, dude, these guys are legit. Like, send them some good shows. So once you do those, you're going to lose money on some shows. Like, you are going to lose money on shows. So make sure you have some money set aside to lose your ass on some shit.
That's just part of the progress, is it not?
I mean, you are going to lose your ass. But like I said, you got to be proactive on these things. You have to say, I got to come up with $500 to pay this band. I got to pay the sound guy $100. I have to rent the venue. So this is what I have to do. So essentially, whenever you get an offer for a show, you'll say, hey, do you want to book Enfold Darkness, So-So, Archaic, any particular band, Black Breath, whatever. This is the package. This is the asking price. And typically they'll tell you, like, you need to have this in a good venue. Like, it needs to have these specifications, which most live music venues will have good, fairly good sound if you're going to a decent venue. So at that point, you hit up the venue and say, hey, looking for this date. Is it available? And they'll email you back, yes, no. Typically, if they say no, you can say, hey, is the next date or the day before available? And then you can email the guy back and be like, hey, I can't do that day, but I can do this date, and at least have some conversation on it. So basically from there, you're gonna find out if the venue's available. If the venue's available, then you email the guy and say, I can do it at this venue, this capacity. I've got a sound guy. A lot of times sound guys are included in the venue, but if not, you have to contact the sound guy separately. Very easy to find. Just talk to some people at some bars. Talk to some people at some shows. Hey, who runs sound around here? Who's good? Everyone will tell you who the good sound guys are. It's typically only 2 or 3 guys, if that. So get the venue set up. Email them back. Say, hey, I got it. Got the venue. Got the sound guy. And then at that point, you can negotiate a price. You can say, well, can't necessarily pay $800 for this package, but I could pay $500. And then sometimes they'll come back and be like, well, how about $650? And then you could be like, yes or no. Or sometimes you can be like, $500, that's it. All I can do. Don't ever commit to something that you cannot do. Make sure that what you're doing is feasible for your budget. Like I said, you have to save some money back. You're going to have to work at your day job and put some money back for this stuff. So once you get the show set up, they say, all right, band's coming to your town this day, load-ins this time. Often bands will have a thing called a rider, which is a little document they'll send you that say the band needs this, which is typically they'll need food. Some bands are very specific on their food. Some bands are vegan. Some bands prefer a buyout, which is basically just $5 or $10 a member. And other bands want beer. Other bands want. I've even had bands ask me to buy in pot before. Like, I've had bands ask me to buy some weird stuff before, specific types of food, or I've had people ask me to go to Whole Foods and buy hummus. Like, it gets a little ridiculous sometimes. But most bands, whenever you're starting off, aren't even sometimes you won't even have to deal with a writer. A lot of the bigger bands will have writers though. But don't panic. Just make sure you get those things. Make sure you're organized. Oftentimes, what we do with Invictum is we'll say, "All right, like we did Goat Whore not very long ago, and each band on the bill, Ringworm, Black Breath, like each band on the bill had a writer. So what we did was we went and bought one of those like plastic tubs at Walmart, and we put each band's stuff in that tub. And they wanted cold beer too, so we brought a cooler, ice, beer, boom. So as soon as the band pulled up, we walked up, shook their hand. Hey, I'm Greg Vance of Invictum Promotions. Got your beer, it's cold. Got your buyout, or I got your catering, got your food. Here's load in. Just whenever a band shows up, I'll tell you this from experience. If you show up to a venue and the promoter has no idea what's going on, it gives you horrible anxiety because you are out on the road taking this very seriously, sleeping in a van with a bunch of sweaty dudes, playing your best you can every night. If you pull up and the kid that's promoting the show has no idea what's going on, it makes you nervous. But if you come in, you roll up and you get out and you're ready to load out, and the guy's like, hey, load in here. Here's your food. Here's your beer. Let me know if you need anything. Got any questions? I'll be right here. Go talk to the sound guy. Make sure he's playing a playlist that matches the set that night. You don't want someone playing Shania Twain if you're booking Black Breath. You know what I mean? Like,
nice.
Yeah. So, basically, like, the only way to get people in the door is to be, like, straight old school about it. Like, yeah, utilize Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Utilize it, but don't ever think that gives you an out of getting out and physically going to Kinko's, going to FedEx, whatever you have to do, getting physical posters and copies and handbills printed and put them all over town. Like, you have no idea. Like, there's been a couple shows that, we've gotten like last minute and didn't really have time to get out there and do it. And it shows, like, people want to see things in person. Like when we brought Origin to town, there were Origin posters everywhere. Like, dude, I mean, you couldn't go anywhere in Nashville. Nashville's huge. I physically took my days off and went out and clear taped, like mummy wrapped these Origin posters to these telephone poles. And that show was sold out. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens. People walking around, people going to get a sandwich on their lunch break. They're like, oh shit, that's right, Origin. They're not necessarily looking, it's like I said, if you don't boost your posts on Facebook and they're not following you, like making sure that you're coming up first on their news feed. I've had so many shows that I've clicked like, hey, I want to go to this, and then I don't see anything of it. Like, people don't hold themselves accountable either. People are busy. So you got to get out there on the streets. You got to make sure they're seeing the posters and that they're getting hyped about it. You know what I mean? Like, man, that's the most important thing is building that, like, anticipation for a good show. It's the best feeling whenever you get there. Everyone's there. Everyone's having a good time. Beers are getting drank. People are just smashing into each other. Everyone's having a good time. They're letting all of their woes from the week out in the pit. You know what I mean? Like, they're just having a good time. But the main thing is you have to make sure that you are on top of everything that goes in, from sending the first email to confirming the venue to making sure the band has cold beer if they request it, or, like, doing everything that you can do to ensure success. Because, like I said, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be times you're going to be freaking busting your ass and it's not going to pay off. You're still going to be going to the ATM. But the most important thing is having friends that you can hold accountable, and you guys can do this together. If you lose $1,000 on a show by yourself, you're screwed. You lose $1,000 on a show between 5 people, not as bad. You know what I mean? But there's also the opportunity to possibly get sponsors. We haven't had a ton of success with it because we basically, like, I moved in to Nashville to join Enfold Darkness and saw that there was already a ton of promoters in town. I didn't want to step on anyone's toes, but I ended up joining Invictum, which actually Elijah was already a member of, and Malcolm and Mike Lowe from Inferi, their wives are actually running this. And later on, our friend Aaron joined on too. And basically, like, we made sure that we weren't pissing people off. We weren't booking shows that people already had been working on booking. We weren't booking shows near the same dates as a show of a similar genre. I mean, dude, Black Keys playing down the street, screw it. You can book a punk rock show. You can book a metal show. But if there's, let's say, Noisem's playing down the street. You don't want to book Young and in the Way the next night at a different venue. That will really piss people off. Like I said, it's a community. Even if you're not booking with a particular group, check their social medias. Make sure that they don't already have something that they've invested their time and money in that you're going to screw up. Because I've seen it like tons of times where I'll have a show booked and then another promoter will book a show at a similar genre either on the same night or the same week, and we both get screwed.
Right.
So, but back to sponsors. If you have a cool place in town, like here in Nashville, there's a oddity shop called Hale. And they sell like super weird stuff, like really cool, like taxidermy art and old like secret society material and just cool weird stuff. Oftentimes they will actually help sponsor a show, whether it be paying for the sound guy that night to put their name on the flyer or something like that. It's all about don't be afraid to go and ask people if they would be down to help you. Because sometimes like you're going to get shut down a lot. People will be like, yeah, no way. Definitely not. But other people will be like, man, let me think about it. And then at that point you have your foot in the door a little bit to be like, hey, well, check it out. Here's the numbers from my last couple shows. And this many people will see your name on the flyer, not even including the people coming to the show, but the people looking at it, their friends getting invited to it, seeing that you're trying to help will make them want to come to your business and buy things from your business and stuff like that. Because honestly, at a certain age, you have to start thinking realistically about stuff. And most of the people that you're dealing with are concerned about money first and foremost, even if you're not, I play in a black metal band. I'm not super concerned about money, but the people that I work with, the people that I book shows with, the promoters I talk to, like they're concerned, they're concerned about those things. So those are things that you have to take into consideration. One thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration, either they're booking shows or they're playing in a band, is you can't just show up to your own shows. Like that's not how it works. Like, you can utilize other people's shows to pass out flyers too. Like that's a good thing, but also just being present, like letting people know, hey, I'm not doing this to try to make money and like that I don't care about anyone. I'm coming in, I'm watching the local bands. Make sure you pay your local bands if you can. Like I understand you're gonna lose your butt on a lot of shows, but like if you get the opportunity, like I like to do local showcases sometimes. I used to do this show in Springfield, Missouri called Murder Fest, and I did like 4 or 5 of them. And like I tried every time to equally divide the money up, unless there was a huge show, like a huge few shows coming up that I had to put deposits down on. And I'll let the bands know. I'm like, hey, dude, like, I got some deposits. If you need some money, I'll give you some money. But if you don't mind, I would really like to put this on these deposits, and I can let you guys open this show and possibly sell some merchandise and stuff like that. But like I said, it's very, very important to let people know that you care about the music scene and that it has longevity, that it's not just going to last for a few months and, you're not going to come to any more shows, stuff like that. Like, it's a, you scratch my back, I scratch your back scenario. Like, you get some promoters in town and you're saying, hey man, got this show coming up, come to your show, you come to my show, maybe bring some friends. And that's how this thing gets built. It's a very organic build. In a society where everything is artificial, this is one of the things that we have left that we can still build organically, like through word of mouth, through experience, personal experience with each other. Like it's such a great thing. And I just wish more people took it seriously, like more people took it seriously besides what they're invested in.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and comment on that. Talking about building a community, that's what it's all about as far as music goes, and furthering the cause, whether it's shows, merchandise, money, it doesn't matter. None of that stuff's going to work if you don't band together essentially and support each other. And that's one thing that we struggle with at times is, and I'm sure you will too, and I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on this and what, any ideas on how to improve it. But, you'll get people that say that they're going to be at the show and you can't count on all of them. But I've seen shows where, people on Facebook said there's going to be 1,000 people there, and then you get to the show and there's like 10, because like people just, they say they like something, but they're not fully invested in it. And I just want to stress that, if you don't support content, shows, merchandise, music, if you don't support any of these forms, there's not going to be anything there. So what's your thoughts on that? And do you have any good examples on how to fix that problem, or maybe some situations you've gotten burned on in that?
Oh man, I got too many examples for the amount of time that we have. But so the thing about it is, man, I see you on here. I see you doing your thing, and it's awesome, dude. I don't want you or anyone else that's doing what you're doing or doing what I'm doing or doing what Invictum's doing to get so caught up in the fact that people aren't biting as much as we would hope, because whenever you get to where you're not enjoying what you're doing, that's whenever things start withering and dying. But like honestly, like I've been playing music over 10 years in bands, playing shows, touring, putting out records, and I'll be honest, I still don't make money doing this. Like, and this isn't a situation where people are like, oh, he just doesn't make very much money. Like I literally don't make any money doing this. But when I was 13, 14 years old and I wanted to be a drummer, did I say, oh, well, I can make a ton of money doing this? Or did I say, I want to play the drums? Like, I don't care about anything else. I don't care if I'm opening these huge shows, these amphitheaters, or if I'm playing in a crusty bar in front of 10 people. I'm in love with this instrument, and no one's going to take that from me. That's the way you have to look at anything you're doing, or else it's not going to have longevity. Like I said, like you're not going to make a ton of money booking shows. There is opportunity for you to make money, but anytime I make a lot of money at a show, I like to make sure I'm paying my local bands. I like to make sure that I'm reinvesting that money to add some stability underneath us. You know what I mean? Like people don't realize that, like whenever. Well, yeah,
I mean that's what I meant earlier. Like when I was saying about money, like you essentially have to have money to carry on the trade, even if it's not profit. I mean,
you have to. Yeah.
Your money. That's why I'm so like I guess irritated why people don't support bands by buying merch or buying music, or even just something as simple as sharing something on Facebook that's not monetary at all. All that stuff comes back to you've got to have that money as a support system to pay the bands, to buy the merch, to pay for your web hosting, all of that stuff. So that's what I meant earlier.
Oh man, I can't even tell you how hard it is to have so many ideas that people will love, that will grow the community, but not have the finances to be able to do it. So if there's any advice I can give people is everyone's broke. Like, there's some rich people out there, but if you're talking about booking metal shows, if you're talking about booking punk shows, stuff like that, you're going to be dealing with a lot of broke people. And you broke people need to understand that the people putting on the shows are probably even more broke than you, because they're having to invest all their personal money into it. So whenever someone puts a CD out, like like me, like I book shows locally, but I also play in a touring band. So if you see my band putting out an album and you want to support the stuff that I do, then buy an album, buy a T-shirt. Like none of us are getting stingy with this money, and none of us are doing anything with it. Like none of us make money doing this. It all gets reinvested. Like whenever we get a lot of money for shirts or something, we turn that around. We make more shirts. We make a hoodie. We do something. We always reinvest this stuff because it's not about money to us. So on the flip side of that, if $10 is super expensive to you, take a step back and look at yourself. Look at what you're spending your money on. You know what I mean? Like you can do without some Red Bulls, or without spending some extra money on some Chinese food that week, if the music scene is important to you. If it's not, go for it, dude. Drink 2 Red Bulls every day. I don't care, whatever. But it's a matter of managing your money, and that goes on both sides of the coin. Like if you're running a production company, it is insanely important to know where your money is and where it's coming from and where it's going constantly. And if you're a fan, you should really try to help more, like financially. Yeah, sharing statuses on Facebook really helps, but
it's also it's like you said earlier. How about you get a stack of flyers and go around and put them up, or how about you volunteer to help with some of the work of getting stuff done for the bands that are coming to town. I mean,
it's great.
There's so many ways you can help that are not monetarily, that could eventually turn into money. You know what I'm saying?
Man, it is the best feeling ever whenever I show up to play a show. There's a decent amount of people there, and some kids come up to me, they're like, dude, yeah, we like totally went and printed your flyer off and hung it up around town. And I'm just like, give me a hug.
Yeah.
Like, I love you. Like, that's the things that count. Like, I'm not talking about pulling out your checkbook and writing me a personal check. I'm talking about helping us succeed, whether it be printing off a stack of flyers, hanging them up in your neighborhood, you know, inviting some kids to school with some flyers, or, you know, even perhaps taking on the responsibility of buying a few extra tickets and trying to sell them to your friends. Like, that is the best, dude. That's like, that takes so much of the stress out for the promoters and the bands. Like, you have no idea. I'll kind of move on to the next thing. Let's say you've been doing the booking thing for a little while. You're doing all right. You know, you're not, you're probably not making a lot of money at this point or anything, but you're wanting to start taking this very seriously. Maybe potentially turn this into a successful business. If you're not interested in that, you can stop listening, whatever. But if you want to get legit with this stuff, I would definitely suggest filing your business with the government as like a LLC, a limited liability company. You know, you can make you know, various companies, but I found that with this type of stuff, you know, LLC is probably the best to limited liability company. That just means that people can't come after you personally if something bad happens with the business. It kind of just puts up a little shield for you and your friends in case something goes really south. Someone tries to sue you for getting hurt at the show or something like that. Right. They can't take your they can't take your car or your house or anything like that. So what you want to start doing is saving all receipts that you use. Save your emails. Make sure you have physical evidence of the money that's going out and coming in. So after a show, you always have to send the booking agent a summary of the show, how many people paid to get in, how many showed up, how many were on the guest list, etc. So you have that in your email. So just make sure that in a separate folder on your desktop or something, you save those. You save your receipts, and at the end of the year, whenever it comes tax returns, stuff like that for your business, you probably won't have to pay any taxes, and you could potentially end up getting small business loans, grants, stuff like that. It's a matter of being very adult with the things that you're doing. You know, like, a lot of people think that what we're doing is kid stuff.
Right.
And, you know, to a lot of people, you know, whatever, you know, it kind of is to some people. But to other people, they're very serious about it. You know, like us in Enfold Darkness, we take this stuff very seriously. We are very adult with how we spend and utilize the money that we make. Like, we don't go spending it on a bunch of crap, you know what I mean? Like, we reinvest it into our business. And it's the same thing. You have to look at it, whether you're doing a podcast or whether you're putting together shows. Like, you have to run it like a business. Even if it is a personal love, like, you have to make sure you're doing it right, or else the IRS can come in, audit you, take a bunch of your money, and be like, see ya, and then you can't keep going, you know? So the IRS is very real, and they look for illegitimate businesses to bust all the time. On a local level, there's people that try to do this stuff. Like, I'm just saying, if you're making a habit of this stuff and you're getting to the point where there's money coming in and stuff like that, businesses, the places, the bars and stuff like that you're booking at, they deal with that stuff. They pay their taxes, and whenever they turn their tax papers in and stuff, they say this money went to Invictum Promotions, this money went to Enfold Darkness, and then they're like, okay, let's look up Enfold Darkness. Oh, nothing. You know what I mean? So that's why, you know, I've messed with LLCs. Essentially every serious, legitimate business I've tried to do. That's just a little bit of advice. I've seen people run an unofficial business for 20, 30 years, but it's just, in this day and age, it's just really easy to get screwed on this stuff. You know, you're going to get discouraged doing this stuff. It's not all pretty, but just make sure that you keep the love for what you're doing and just give it your all. You know what I mean? Don't half-ass anything, whether it be your day job, whether it be your band, whether it be your production company, whether it be your relationship with your significant other, your friends, whatever. Just make sure that if you care about something, you're putting yourself in there. You know what I mean? You're not just sticking your foot in. Like, you're getting deep in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to lose money, but that's not what this is about. You just got to take a step back and be like, I didn't start booking shows to make a ton of money. And if you did, well, good luck. You learned your lesson. See ya. You know what I mean? But if it's something you care about, you love, keep that in mind and make things work for you. Make it happen. The first thing that comes about whenever you're trying to be successful at anything is believing in yourself and believing in the people that you care about and making it work, because you will make it work if you try hard enough. But don't come in here with this negative Nancy attitude like, oh, people didn't come to my show, I'm so mad. Like, it's going to happen and you can't get mad about it, you know? Like, you can get upset, but just make sure it doesn't discourage you to the point where you want to quit, because then they won, man. They won, you know? The people that don't want us to do this stuff, that don't want us, the younger people, to have art and have fun things to do, you know? Like, they win, you know? And we don't want to see them win.
And I'll just go back to saying real quick that they're going to continue to win if people don't start supporting the artists more, or the shows in general more, or, you know, just anything you're into. It didn't even have to be music. I just get so tired of people who say they like something and then not showing support for that, and no matter what way, shape, or form that is. That's just a big pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, man, I'm very familiar with those people. And I mean, even on like a level of music, like I've known so many awesome bands that I've loved, and I've bought their albums, and I've worn their hoodies around town, and I've invited people to their shows, and I've bought tickets for my friends. And, you know, like, you see them fall apart one day, you see, oh, so-and-so disbands, and you're like, well, what happened, you know? But if you think about it, you know exactly why it happened. Because these people are trying to struggle, you know, doing their grown adult lives, paying their rent, paying their insurance, buying groceries, and also continue doing this thing that they love, but they're not making any money at it. So a lot of people just call it quits, man. And like, you can't blame them. Like, I can't promise that I'm going to be like 100% doing this stuff all the time, because like, there's probably going to come a point in time wherever I'm like, hey man, it's time to pass the torch, you know? And there needs to be people there waiting to grab that torch, you know? Because, you know, I've seen people that have promoted shows forever and have never done any better, and they just, you see it in their eyes, man. You don't want to be a burnout. You have to keep that fire lit, or else you just might as well quit, dude, you know, because you have to love it, or people are going to know, you know? So
right.
That's some of my advice is just stay in love with what you're doing, and keep your eyes in the direction that you know is going to continue to inspire you, even if you're not making a ton of money or anything. You know what I mean?
All right. So anything else you want to add as we close out the show?
Man, I'll tell you what, I'll just kind of give you guys some plugs. If any of you guys want to talk about this stuff, just hit me up on a Facebook message or something, or, you know, Enfold Darkness on Facebook, Invictum Promotions on Facebook. You hit me up on my email. My personal email is vancebooking@live.com. If you have any questions, hit me up. I can't promise you I'll get back to you like right then, but I really make an attempt. But probably the best way is through Facebook as of now. You know, I got an Instagram, drummer Greg Vance. You can kind of see some of the shows I got coming up, some of the tours I'm doing with my band, stuff like that. And you know, always look for people who are doing what you're trying to do, and get advice from them. And typically you'll get some good advice, you know?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask anybody for anything. I mean, there may be a couple times when you get turned down, but for every door that's closed, 2 more will open if you just put forth the effort to ask, you know?
Yeah, you just got to look for them, man. There's open doors out there. You can't just keep trying to break in one particular door. Like, just keep looking. You're going to find an open door.
All right. Anything else?
No, man, I think I pretty much wrapped it up.
All right. Greg, thanks again for coming on. And, you know, hopefully your tour's going to get going good, and hopefully the shows will start getting better, and people will continue to care about what you're doing, what we're doing, what any bands are doing, even on the smallest local level. Just, again, I can't stress it enough, guys. If you like what you're hearing, if you want to support bands, if you want to support any art form, company, product, anything, continue to support, volunteer, buy merch, whatever it takes. Just continue to support, because if you don't support enough, those avenues may not be there in the future. But again, I hope you guys learned something today, and you can take it and put forward that effort and start your own promotion company. Start your own business. Doesn't matter what it is. Just keep that fire burning and the passion for what you want to do. And with that, we're going to sign off. Thanks again for listening. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Never the best it would do. It's keeping my powers under